Hi, my name is Alex Dolphin and welcome back to another episode of Ex Ante. Today we're going to discuss the case of Summers versus Tice. This case was argued in the California Supreme Court in the year of 1948. Summers was a hunting instructor and he was taking two gentlemen out on a hunting expedition. Two gentlemen were named Tice and Simonson. Tice is the named defendant in this case, but Simonson is also named in the case as well. He was instructing both men on how to hunt for quail. He did so briefly and then they went out on their hunt. They were in a triangle formation. Summers was here, Tice was here, Simonson was here. A quail was flushed from the middle of the triangle. Tice and Simonson both shot at the same quail, and when they shot at the quail, the buckshot went ahead and the stray one struck Summers in the eye. Summers was frustrated with this as he had instructed the gentleman to be very careful when they were hunting, so he went and brought suit in a California trial court in order to recover the damages to his eye. Trial court ruled in favor of Summers, stating that both gentlemen should be held jointly liable for their actions because in instances where it's impossible to prove which gentleman is responsible for the damages to another, those two individual actors should be held jointly liable. The defendants weren't pleased with this, so they went ahead and appealed to the California Supreme Court. The issue in this case is, can two people, actors, be held liable for a single harm if it isn't clear which individual caused the harm? Who should be held liable? So can we hold two individuals jointly liable for a singular harm when it's not clear which one of those individuals caused the harm? That's the issue at hand here. The ruling of the Supreme Court, it upheld the ruling of the lower court and the trial court and stated that because they couldn't figure out which one of the men was fully responsible, both should be held liable. So let's just go ahead and jump into the specific verbiage that the court used. I think it's powerful. They said that the real reason for the rule that each joint tortfeasor is responsible for the whole damage is the practical unfairness of denying the injured person redress simply because he cannot prove how much damage each did. When it is certain that between them they did all the damage, let them be the ones who apportion it among themselves. So the court is saying that because Summers can't prove which individual hurt him, it's not fair to Summers to not be able to recover. Rather, what should happen is Tice and Simonson, because one of them is completely responsible, and those two individuals don't even know which one it is, they should have to go ahead and apportion the settlement to Summers equally amongst themselves. I don't know what that division looks like. I don't know if it's in court. The ruling didn't say much about what that proceeding would look like. I would envision it's just something outside of court, maybe between two separate attorneys or just two individuals. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the ex ante implications of the case. The first one I want to discuss is an obvious one that you've probably been thinking about in your mind as we've discussed the facts and the rulings. This type of precedent will always hold at least one individual liable for harm that they didn't cause. That's concerning because although one might be a member of a group, doesn't mean that they caused a harm to an individual, and we always hold that person liable just so a plaintiff can experience some type of recovery, something to think about there. Another interesting consequence of this case is that all of the burden of apportioning the settlement costs is placed upon the two tortfeasors. Like I said earlier, I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's between individuals, between attorneys, but it does seem to be an inefficiency. It creates more work outside of the courtroom and potentially back inside of the courtroom for the individuals and for attorneys because of this broad kind of black box of liability and the apportionment of it that's been given to the defendants in this case and cases in the future that will rely upon this precedent. Another ex ante implication, I think the most interesting one that I want to end on, in the case's ruling, the justices discuss a similar scenario in which one individual is harmed by a single actor in another group. So let's envision one individual who is having some type of surgery on an operating table. 6 doctors are involved in the surgery, and the individual's harmed. Well, in instances where this individual can't prove which doctor was responsible for the harm, whether that be the anesthesiologist, the orthopedic surgeon, maybe the nurse or a doctor's assistant, In instances where that individual cannot prove which doctor was responsible for their harm, they can sue the whole group and hold them jointly liable. Might make a lot of sense from the perspective of the plaintiff. That person will be brought whole, will have an opportunity to recover the damages. But from the perspective of a defendant, that means that we're going to hold 5 doctors liable for a wrong that they didn't cause. So that's a bit concerning, especially in a profession like medicine where malpractice is not treated lightly, and it could end up costing you your career in the future. But the court held in this ruling that situations like this down the road and in the past, these doctors should be held jointly liable as joint tortfeasors. So something to think about there. All right, thanks so much for watching. If you have any other ex ante implications that you can think of, leave them in the comments below. I hope you have a nice rest of your day.